Hey guys, welcome into the 14. I'm Nick Cole, and we're breaking down each SEC football game in Week 12 from a betting perspective. Today, we're talking about the Florida Gators visiting the Missouri Tigers. This game's to be played on Saturday, November 20th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time at Faurot Field in Columbia, Missouri. It'll be broadcast on the SEC Network. From a betting perspective, Florida opened as a 10-point favorite, and that line has dropped as of Thursday afternoon to 8.5. The over-under opened at 73.5. And has since moved down to 69 as of the recording of this video. I'll bring in our betting analyst, Christopher Smith. Christopher, those are some pretty big numbers on the total for a couple of SEC East teams that have been struggling at points this season.
Yeah, I mean, I may ruin the rest of this video, but spoiler alert, I will not be coming within 50 feet of betting on this game, unfortunately. And, you know, I just think I'm a person who doesn't mind taking risks, and I'm a volume bettor. But what are you going to get out of either one of these teams right now? Do you know? Does anybody know? But I guess we can try to sort that out. Let's get deep into like the weather, the injuries, and the news and notes, and we'll try to figure out what we can.
Yeah, that's why people are here. They want us to give them answers on a couple of teams that have no answers, right? We'll start with the weather on that. Columbia Saturday, we've got temperatures in the 50s. No rain in the forecast. We do have a little bit of wind. Forecasting between 7 and 10 miles an hour as the kickoff of this game. So do be on the lookout for that. If it's over 10 miles an hour, that might be something that could impact the total. On the injury side of things, we'll start with Florida. Left guard Ethan White hasn't played since the LSU game, and quarterback Anthony Richardson played 3 snaps in the last 2 games. So kind of hard to know where they're at with a couple of those guys. Watch on Saturday to see. On the Missouri side of things, they've had offensive and defensive linemen that are out for the season and a couple of wide receivers that are out indefinitely. There's 4 Missouri defensive backs that are out for the season or questionable, including the starting cornerback Ishmael Burdine and part-time starter Sean Robinson at safety and cornerback Enos Rakestraw Jr. So some names to keep in mind as you're trying to scour the depth charts and find the keys to betting this one. Go to our news and notes. I'll start with this. Florida won last week, but why does it feel like a loss? In the midst of a 3-game losing streak, the Gators really needed a win, and they had FCS Samford on the schedule. They scored 70 points against them, had 717 yards of total offense. Emory Jones had a massive day. Dan Mullen and the team danced together at a post-game victory dance in the locker room, so it should be good news, right? But the problem was they allowed 52 points. They allowed 530 yards of offense to a 4-6 FCS program, and they trailed 42-35 at half of this game. So, Christopher, I know you're a former Samford athlete. I feel like I should hand it over to you and let you tell me what happened in that game.
We had a lead over Florida State in 2018 in the fourth quarter. We were within 1 possession of Mississippi State in 2016 deep into the fourth quarter. We had a 42-28 lead against Florida in the fourth quarter. Samford has a really good offense. If you remember Duck Hodges, who played for the Steelers a little while at quarterback, it's a pretty good air raid. But unfortunately, our attitude toward defense is essentially like, well, we have a scholarship limit, and I guess our offense needs some bodies to practice against that have some form of defense next to their name in the roster. So no defense at all for Samford ever, but a pretty fun offense. So I think I told you before the game, bet the over. Hopefully you took me up on that, and it cashed very easily for us.
I did. I should have put more on it than I did. I didn't trust you as much as I should have. On the other side of this game, we got Missouri, who had a home win last week against South Carolina, and maybe they found a cure for their rush defense in the process. That could be turning over a new leaf for one of the worst rush defenses in FBS over the majority of the season, or is that just a fluke based on the game script? I'll let you, the betting expert, tell me that. And then before I hand it over to you for the analysis, I point out that a bowl game could be on the line for both of these teams in this game. They're both 5-5. Florida plays Florida State. I think Missouri has Arkansas left. Those are going to be some close games. So could be a little bit extra for the team that wants it more, who wants that extra practice, who wants that swag bag from the Birmingham Bowl or whatever. Christopher, how does all that fit together where we can try to make a smart play on betting this game?
Yeah, you guys have a player in Nashville named Derrick Henry, right? Running back. I think he plays for the Titans. Derrick Henry is listed at 6'3", 247 pounds. Now that's a big old guy for a running back, right? And I mean, he was setting records at Alabama for number of carries, number of touches that he was getting every week. But he's the one delivering the blows usually when he runs the ball. Now, again, 6'3", 247. And that brings me to Tyler Beatty. Well, Tyler Beatty is 5'8", 194 pounds. And my math is not great, but I believe that's 5 inches and 53 pounds lighter than Derrick Henry. So why does that matter? Well, Tyler Beatty had 39 touches against Vanderbilt. And then I told you the Georgia game, looking at the box score, I think Missouri intentionally held its players out so they wouldn't get beat up. But then Beatty had another 39 touches last week against South Carolina. So, in 2 of the last 3 weeks, he's had 78 touches. And for a college running back that's maybe generously listed at 194 and is 5'8", that's a lot of hits to be taking. So to me, the question in this game is like, I mean, it sounds cliche and it sounds like remember the Titans kind of thing, but like, who's going to want it more? I mean, Beatty's clearly going to be beat up and tired, and Florida clearly the rest of the season matters almost nothing in terms of the future for the Gators. The results are not really going to matter. So, which of the sides, like a really beat up and worn down Beatty or a very emotionally down Florida Gators team, is going to like be more physical and care more throughout the game? Because it's basically going to come down to that. It's not really like a scheme or ability thing to me. It's basically like who's going to lower their shoulder more when Missouri hands the ball off 35 times and says, all right, tackle. If you're more physical than Beatty, you deserve to win. So that's what to watch for me. Interestingly, it's really all or nothing for Missouri on offense. If you do stop Beatty, Missouri scored 14 against Texas A&M and 6 against Georgia, and they did stop Beatty. And if Beatty does well, then Missouri gets 48 against North Texas, 37 against Vanderbilt, 31 against South Carolina. So that's the entire handicap. Is Florida going to be able to stop Beatty? If you can tell me that, I'll tell you who's going to cover, but I don't know. Florida's offense at least seems to be trying. You mentioned they scored 70 points even against Samford. That's a huge number. Career day for Emory Jones. And I guess the only other question that I really have in this game is Missouri's run defense, like you asked, really, really better? And I was impressed and noticed them against Georgia. They had a much better run defense against Georgia, and they followed that up with another good performance against South Carolina last week. So I'm not ready to say that Missouri is even an average SEC run defense, but I think it's probably fair to say, based on the last 2 weeks, that they are no longer all-time historically bad rush defense, and that may count for something when we're trying to figure out who's going to cover this game and also the total. But Nick, why don't you tell us who you're taking in this game?
Sure. Before I give you my picks, let me give our listeners a chance to get some more money to bet on the games this weekend. We've got a deal with Action 24/7 Sportsbook that offers new customers a chance to get a 100% deposit on match on their first deposit for up to $800. So if you sign up today and make your first deposit using code South14, that's South14, Action will double your money up to $800. So download the app or visit action247.com to get started. Action 24/7 is by Tennesseans for Tennesseans. You've got action. So my action on this game is to run as fast as possible away from any semblance of a bet on this one, just because I feel like there's just so many other games this week. If you watch some of our other videos, that maybe are an opportunity to get your money in good, where you have at least a little bit of a feeling on which team is going to do what. But for the purposes of making picks for our show and keeping track of our season-long track record, I don't know how I can bet on Florida right now, especially on the road in the cold weather with a questionable desire to play in this game at all. So give me Missouri plus 8.5. And then I'll take the over 69 just because I think we're going to see plenty of points. Florida and Samford accounted for over 120 last week. So I think it's reasonable to think that Florida and Missouri can get us over 69. How do you view this one?
Yeah, I mean, there's some sharp bettors that I respect that are definitely on Missouri in this game. The market is telling you to bet on Missouri. But the problem with that is it opened +10, and now by the time you watch this video, it could be down to 8 or so. So to me, if you were going to bet on Missouri, you definitely missed the best number on that. And, if there was value on Missouri, there's a good chance that most of it's gone or all of it's gone by now. So I will take Missouri +8.5 just because I think the market is screaming that that's the side to be on in this game. And I will take the over 69 as well. But it's a total pass for me. It's one of the games that I am least like out of the games in the last month in the SEC. This may be my least favorite to bet on out of all of them. So personally, not going to come close to betting on it. But for Nick Cole, I'm Christopher Smith for the 14, and we'll talk to you next week.